Here, my friends and I are on way to Yellowstone National Park. We first revisited the Teton mountain peaks. We paused to enjoy the beautiful panoramic view and the Serpentine River. We deviated from the main road, traveled through some real kacha roads. We saw some rejuvenated park. Later, we stopped by a small pond. It felt heavenly. The cold weather, the breeze, the lovely blue waters, the tranquility. I can't explain the simple serenity that surrounds this area. As we drove on, we came to the Jackson Lake. Later, we crossed over the land where forest fire had destroyed the forest. Initially, they brought down every small forest fire until in 1988, they had a massive fire which was uncontrollable, killing a lot of wildlife. Then it was realized that these small fires every year prevented larger fires, and hence now only containment of the fire is done. Finally, the Yellowstone National Park. A very friendly ticket examiner welcomed us.
Would you like a park map?
Yes, please.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
We stopped by to enjoy a view of the river before making way to the check-in. While my friend went through the procedures, we ladies went to pick at the souvenirs. Later, in the comfy bedroom, we could see a mosquito net on the windows. Also, there were protections to prevent from any wild animals coming in. We rushed to the restaurant facing the lake. The gloomy weather had dulled the beauty of the lake. We had a meal, not much options, basin burger, tomato soup, and some potato chips. And later, we made way to the geyser, the famous Old Faith. The water keeps popping out, bringing in excitement to the viewers, telling that each of these are going to be an eruption. It's the world's famous geyser and named so due to its somewhat predictable eruptions, with a 90% accuracy when it would erupt next. It has 1 hour or 2 hours between two eruptions. And the eruption itself may last 1.5 minutes to 4.5 minutes and expel as much as 3,700 gallons to around 8,000 gallons at a temperature of 204 degrees Fahrenheit for the water, and the steam above may be as high as 350 Fahrenheit. Beware, go nowhere near. It can reach a height of 90 to 120 feet. And here, there's a bison, not interested in either the viewers or the eruption itself. The Yellowstone was set aside as the world's first national park because of its hydrothermal features. These features are the visible expression of the supervolcano. The heat that fuels these geological wonders is given off by the partially molten magma body deep in the earth. The magma is similar to crystallized honey, a mush consisting of crystals with a small amount of melt between them. A welcome map on the entrance to the hot springs showed us the layout of the area, starting with the Excelsior Geyser, the Grand Prismatic Spring, the Opal Pool, and finally the Turquoise Pool. The river was at places a silver grey and looked like a scaly beast, weaving its way thunderously close to the hot springs. In the thermal areas, the ground may be only a thin crust above boiling hot springs or scalding mud. Some pools are acidic enough to burn through boots. More than 20 people have been scalded to death and hundreds more badly burned and scarred by stepping off the boardwalk. Tourists and happy children played on the boardwalk as a crystal stream ran below. Leaving the broad walk or trail or taking pets into the geyser basin is unlawful and potentially fatal. Also, throwing objects into the thermal features, collecting specimens, or defacing features destroys what nature took centuries to build. Violators can be prosecuted. The first view of the Excelsior crater was breathtaking. Cobalt blue water with stream rising off it dangerously, and it reminded me of a giant copper sulfate solution in the world's largest chemistry lab. The steam looked menacing, and as if this were not enough to deter the casual visitor, there were enough signs on display to show that it would erupt yet again. It was a surreal sight, as if a hidden beast below the earth was hissing and we were at the nostrils waiting to be burnt. In the 1880s, the Excelsior Geyser erupted in bursts 50 to 300 feet high. The thermal violence formed the jagged crater and apparently ruptured the geyser's underground system, causing eruptions to cease after 1890. On September 14, 1985, Excelsior roared back to life with 47 hours of major eruptions. It is impossible to predict when this dormant but powerful geyser's next eruption will be. The surrounding mud flats looked like the surface of a giant brown leaf with striated brown veins, looking like rivers of maple syrup over a pancake. The Grand Prismatic Spring came to view at last. Blue skies above and steam below. Closer to us, the baked mud and its bank looked like a caramel egg pudding, golden, brown and crusty, but obviously not edible. The colors of the Grand Prismatic Spring match most of those seen in the rainbow. The bright, vivid colors in the spring are the result of microbial mats around the edges of the mineral rich water. The mats produce colors ranging from green to red. The amount of color in the microbial mats depends on the ratio of the chlorophyll to carotenoids and on the temperature gradient in the runoff. In the summer, the mats tend to be orange and red, whereas in the winter, the mats are usually dark green. The center of the pool is sterile due to extreme heat. The deep blue color of the water in the center of the pool results from the intrinsic blue color of the water. The effect is strongest in the center of the spring because of its sterility and depth. Shadows loomed across the flowers. The opal pool is more like a baby Grand Prismatic Spring. It is presented in an elegant background, the tall pine trees, the blue skies with the white clouds, and lakes seen in the distance. You can see the crystal clear water flowing away from the center of the spring. Finally, we are near the turquoise pool. The very blue copper sulfate colored pool with a golden lining, reflections of the clouds in the water, and what a view this is. I was struck by the way the sun played hide and seek through the tall coniferous trees that line the highway as its rays filtered blinkingly through. The next day, we had a hike through the canyons of the Yellowstone. Called the Yellowstone because of the color of the stones seen in this area. There are two major waterfalls on the Yellowstone River within Yellowstone National Park. Clear Lake Artist Point Loop Trail. This hike goes from the parking lot of Uncle Tom's Trail along the South Rim Trail to Artist Point and then turns towards Clear Lake and loops back to the parking lot. It has everything: the gorgeous views of the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone, backcountry thermal areas, and beautiful meadows. Be on the lookout for bears. The Clear Lake is supposed to be clear because there is no life in this water. The contents of the water have a lot of toxic materials.
It helps break down all of the rocks and the sediment, in this pot, which therefore turns it into mud. And we see all those bubbles popping up. It really reminds me when you're a kid and you got a nice tall, crisp glass of chocolate.
We started back to Jackson. Just as we exited the southern gate, we stopped to see the Lewis Falls. We revisited the little pond we had seen earlier the previous day, this time in the sunset. And soon we were to be in Jackson. A very comfortable suite cottage to finish the day.